Good evening and thank you for joining us. The lawyer for 9 clients who filed human rights complaints against the chief of the Thunder Bay Police and its board is calling on the province's oversight body to suspend Chief Sylvie Hoth and the police services lawyer immediately.
On Friday, the Ontario Civilian Police Commission announced its plans to investigate the leadership of the police force. Chantel Bryson is taking issues with several aspects of that media release from the OCPC. Corey Nordstrom has the latest.
Following the OCPC's announcement of their probe into the Thunder Bay Police Service, human rights lawyer Chantel Bryson wants Chief Sylvie Hoth suspended immediately, along with the service's lawyer Holly Walborn and a police sergeant who is the subject of several human rights complaints.
It is certainly our view that they cannot be left in the building. In this particular context, they are in charge of the evidence, the complainants, and the witnesses, as well as retain the authority to retaliate against members of the public who are engaged in these complaints.
One of Bryson's clients is police board member Georgianne Morisseau, who filed complaints last year against Hoth and her fellow board members. Bryson says the Solicitor General, the OCPC, and the police board all hold the power to suspend the named parties during an investigation. But with the 3 individuals all still working, Bryson says those accusing them of wrongdoing are scared for their safety.
Member Morisseau is afraid. Member Morisseau has had strange activity around her residence and vehicle. I myself had neighbors come and report strange activity around my home in the past week.
Bryson also disputes the OCPC's notion that the Police Services Board requested an investigation of Chief Hoth, Walborn, and Deputy Chief Ryan Hughes, who was suspended last month pending an internal investigation. Bryson says the actual complainant was Morisseau all along.
It went on board letterhead, but they did not ask to do this, and they didn't support doing it.
And the OCPC isn't the only higher power to start investigating the Thunder Bay Police Force. According to Bryson, provincial police from Southern Ontario will soon be arriving in the city in about the next week or so.
Chief Superintendent Carrie Dart of the OPP confirmed to me last Wednesday and Friday that they have commenced a criminal investigation into the same matters and the same individuals and the board, and that they have created a team external to the Northwestern Ontario unit for that purpose, and they will commence that investigation shortly.
Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
Premier Doug Ford had promised to speed up Ontario's reopening timeline, and today the province revealed those new dates. Bars, restaurants, and other businesses will now be able to reopen at full capacity this Thursday. And on March 1st, the government intends to end the proof of vaccination requirement and lift all additional capacity limits. Colin DeMello has the details.
15 days until Ontario is free of nearly all COVID-19 restrictions. As of March 1st, the province will completely eliminate the proof of vaccination requirements and lift all capacity limits as the province's COVID-19 situation improves.
We are now down the slope from the peak of Omicron activity. 92% of Ontarians 12 and over have received at least 2 doses.
The government is speeding up timelines, with the second phase of the reopening taking place this Thursday.
We will remove all capacity limits except for sporting events, concert venues, and theaters, which will be capped at 50%.
On Friday, children between the ages of 12 to 17 will be eligible for a booster dose. The only measure that will remain in place, the government says, is mandatory masking. The change in course is being seen by some as a sign that the ongoing occupation in Ottawa is having an impact. The Premier insists they had nothing to do with it.
We're moving in this direction because it's safe to do so. Today's announcement is not because of what's happening in Ottawa or Windsor, but despite it.
The Premier's focus now is squarely on the occupations, which Ford calls an insurrection.
I'm not going to tolerate anarchy at our borders or anywhere else.
Already, the Ambassador Bridge was reopened, allowing two-way trade between Canada and the United States to resume today. Now, the attention is turning to Ottawa with the full support of the Ford government.
I'll support the federal government. We cannot have people creating chaos at our borders, interrupting trade with the rest of the world. It won't be tolerated.
But the Premier's political critics worry he may have emboldened the occupiers by removing a requirement that they oppose.
Doug Ford is basically caving to the occupiers,
Raising concerns about the message to those already entrenched.
Some businesses and political leaders here in Thunder Bay are welcoming today's latest reopening announcement from the Premier. Chamber President Charla Robinson and Liberal MPP Michael Gravel both say they support reducing the restrictions. Mitchell Ringos reports.
As of this Thursday, capacity limits will be lifted at most indoor public settings, such as restaurants, meeting and event spaces, gaming establishments, gyms, and cinemas. And as of March 1st, the proof of vaccination requirements in the province will be lifted to all non-essential businesses if they choose to do so. Thunder Bay Chamber of Commerce President Charla Robinson gave those moves the thumbs up.
We've been saying since the beginning that we need to do whatever we can to make sure that businesses are open at as much capacity as possible. So very positive to see that the capacity limits will be raised earlier and that we're moving in a really positive direction to get businesses back open to normal, basically to normal levels. So I think this is really positive for those businesses that have been struggling with reduced capacity for a number of weeks.
Also reacting to the news was Liberal MP Michael Gravel. He says they have always supported science-based decisions and thinks this latest announcement is based on science, as the Omicron variant has certainly lessened recently. As for the vaccine passports becoming optional for business owners at the beginning of March, Gravel cautiously supports the decision.
I think it's important that businesses that have employees still have the option of asking for a vaccine proof. But indeed, I think many people will be pleased to see the lifting of the restrictions. This is what we've all been looking for, and it's taken a great deal of time to make that happen. But again, with caution, we support it.
As for mask mandates, they will stay in place for the time being, which Gravel says is still a great way of maintaining protection and thinks masks will continue to be important for some time. Mitchell Ringos, TBT News.
The Thunder Bay District Health Unit has declared a COVID-19 outbreak at the Chartwell Retirement Home on Hilldale Road. There are now 9 active outbreaks in high-risk settings across the district, including 3 at seniors facilities. Pioneer Ridge and Hogarth Riverview Manor also have outbreaks at this time. Well, COVID-19 numbers at the Regional Health Sciences Centre have fallen since Friday. The total number of patients dipped below 40 on Sunday before rising again slightly over the last 24 hours. There are now 42 COVID-19 patients, according to the latest update from the regional hospital. 6 of those people are in the ICU, down from 9 on Friday. The hospital's overall occupancy rate has risen to nearly 107%, but ICU occupancy has fallen from 91% down to 77%. The Thunder Bay District Health Unit is reporting 177 new COVID cases over the weekend. There are now 337 active infections, down from 359 on Friday. There are 47 hospitalizations across the TBDHU, with 10 people in intensive care. There are 328 active cases in the Northwestern Health Unit. That's up from 316 on Friday. The vast majority of the cases, 206, come from the Sioux Lookout Health Hub. The NWHU's 7-day test positivity rate is now 22.4%. As of Saturday, there were 10 people in hospital with COVID-19 across the NWHU's catchment area. 6 of those people were hospitalized because of COVID-19, and 4 were admitted for other reasons.
Thunder Bay City Council has a relatively light agenda tonight for its first meeting since the approval of the 2022 budget. One item of note will be a presentation outlining the year-end review from Tourism Thunder Bay. It will help councillors and the public better understand how the second year of the pandemic impacted visitors coming into the city. Tourism manager Paul Pepe will provide the update to council and says that the pandemic continues to cause difficulties. There was still good news that came from 2021.
Even though the times were tough, we still saw some bright spots. And so, Monday night's report to council is really a balanced scorecard for the year on the challenges and the issues continuing to plague and face the industry through the pandemic, but also really highlighting and celebrating some of the positives that we also saw in the sector.
There will also be a preview of what to expect this year, as many are hoping for more visitors and a big tourism recovery in 2022.
A hearing panel has concluded that a Thunder Bay Justice of the Peace abused her position of judicial office when she intervened in her son's court case for Highway Traffic Act charges. Anna Gibbon served as the city's Aboriginal liaison from 2008 until 2013 when she was appointed to the bench. The judicial hearing took place last summer, and the decision has now been released. The panel found that Gibbon engaged in judicial misconduct when she called the prosecutor to discuss her son's case, and also asked the Regional Senior Justice of the Peace to have the charge against her son withdrawn or stayed. The panel said Gibbon's failure to respect the ethical and professional boundaries of her position undermined public confidence in the justice system. The potential penalties range from a warning all the way up to removal from the bench. The parties will now set dates for submissions on what the appropriate punishment should be.
In just over a week, the Dryden Police Service will be no more as the OPP takes over policing duties in the small city. Last year, Dryden Council voted in favor of disbanding the municipal service in favor of the OPP, citing long-term cost savings. However, the city will still be on the hook for disbandment costs. Dryden CAO Roger Nesbitt says there's still a lot to look at from an equipment and infrastructure standpoint, but he notes the DPS building, which has been deemed unusable by the OPP, will have a temporary tenant in the coming months.
Conversations are ongoing with leadership, municipal leadership, on what the building will be repurposed to. Nothing definite yet, but conversations are ongoing. We will be using that location as a temporary City Hall location when we do the renovations here on our building on the Van Horn location.
Nesbitt says Council looked at proposed budget for disbandment and takeover costs in November, and it will take another look at that budget later this month. The official handoff from DPS to the OPP will take place at noon on February 24th.
The 15th annual Valentine's Day Memorial Walk was forced to go virtual again this year as organizers and participants honored missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Today's event expanded that commemoration to include missing and murdered Indigenous boys and men as well. Despite some delays due to spamming, the opening ceremonies managed to go ahead on the Memorial Walk Facebook page. Sharon Johnson co-founded the walk in honor of her late sister Sandra, who was murdered in February of 1992. Members of Confederation College's Child and Youth Care program presented Johnson with 30 roses to mark 30 years since her sister's passing. She says she's grateful for the support and encourages everyone to raise awareness by taking part in the virtual walk.
Now it's up to everyone else to do their part and walk today if you can. It looks nice out there, nice enough to take a walk around the block or wherever you are. It's still good to post your photos on the event page. So do that and use the hashtag that's there.
Photos of residents participating in the virtual walk have been coming in from across the city and region over the last few days. Johnson hopes they can get back to walking as a group for next year's event, as Thunder Bay has played host to a number of successful and powerful walks in the past.
Kindergarten students at Holy Family School took part in a heartwarming initiative this Valentine's Day, as the kids gave nice little gifts to all the school staff. This is the third Kinder Care initiative. In 2022, the students created over 450 candy packages for emergency first responders and healthcare workers. And in 2021, the kids assembled lanterns of hope for seniors. For this year, the students performed acts of kindness and helpfulness at home by doing chores to earn a toonie for the cause. $80 was raised in total, which was then used to purchase items for the Valentine's Day cart. Students then went out and gave each staff member a personalized gift bag. Kindergarten teacher Meryl Young says it was a touching gesture for everyone.
They were all really touched. They were, even a few came up to me this morning and said they'd gone in the staff room this morning and saw the cart, and they were just they thought it was very thoughtful that our students would think about them, and they were all very, very happy to receive their gifts.
We had to bring in like 2 toonies.
But what did you do to earn the toonie at home?
To do jobs at home. We have an electric vacuum, and I did it.
And who are you going to be giving your gift to?
I don't know yet.
Young says she'd like to keep the kindergarten initiative going next year, as the younger students absolutely love it.
What a fantastic story. Great job.